welcome back to my channel. I don't know what I'm supposed to say because I know everyone says that for their YouTube. But anyway, my second video I'm doing. So today I'm going to just talk a bit about my art style, how I found my style of art, and yeah, because I remember when I was doing the exhibition, there was a student that asked me, because I was doing a class visit, so I was showing art students from my old school, where I went to secondary school and where I did art with Leansert. I was showing them around, and one art student asked me, how did you discover your style, or something like that? Because when I said, oh, do you have any questions you want to ask me about my art or whatever, and when she asked me that, I was kind of like, I was kind of stuck for a second, because I was like, how did I discover my art style? I just, honestly, I said to her, I just drew whatever I wanted to draw, and that was my style. I didn't try out different styles. I just did my own. I don't know how to explain it, but I just, yeah, I just draw whatever I want. It's more with me, I just know what I like drawing and what I don't like drawing. I'm not into realism art. I never really enjoyed drawing realism art. I can give it my best shot now. I wouldn't be super talented at it like some people who've actually spent years practicing realism art, where they can genuinely do my face exactly how it is onto a piece of paper. Yeah, that wouldn't be my style. Just not into it. I feel, not that it's still amazing. It's an amazing talent to have, but I don't know, I just didn't like looking at something and trying to get that exact thing down on paper. I rather something that was more kind of creative and weird and unusual, you know, monsters, fucking fairies, mad stuff. That was what my style was. That's because I think growing up as well, what made my art style really was also literally my own personality. Because growing up, like, I loved watching SpongeBob SquarePants on TV as a kid. So I loved that animation, even though that wasn't anything mystical or magical, really. But again, I just loved all the bright colours. It was kind of, you know, I just liked SpongeBob. And then I always loved, as I said in my previous video, Halloween and anything magical, anything, you know, like paranormal stuff, you know, fairy tale related. I loved that as well. So like growing up, Halloween was always my favourite time of year. I was like, oh my god, Halloween. Still is, even though I don't do anything for Halloween ever, to be honest. But I just love the Halloween vibe. Like if I was getting married, I would love a Halloween themed wedding, 100%. Like pumpkins, the whole lot. It would be class. I'd love like like a pumpkin trail that you'd walk through going up to meet the groom or whatever. That'd be so cool. Or just like all Halloweeny themed stuff with autumn mixed, of course, with that as well. It would be so nice, like if each table had a pumpkin, a few different types of pumpkins, because you know you can get like, you can buy those white pumpkins and you can buy kind of longer shade pumpkins and stuff like that. So cool. So yeah, that all had a big, oh my god, I nearly knocked over the camera. That all had a huge impact on my art. It's just me and what I liked growing up and the stuff I was into. Like I was always drawn to detail and colour. That's what always fascinated me. For example, even with the Where's Wally books, do you know them growing up? The amount of detail that were in those books to find Wally, that made it hard to find Wally. Oh my god, I loved looking at all the detail, all the tiny little characters. And even as a child playing with toys, I was always obsessed with small things that came with a lot of accessories. My mother said that to me as well. Yeah, when you were a child, you were always obsessed with small things, and if anything happened to them, you'd freak out. Like I was like, yeah. And even animals, like if an animal is in particularly small, and like hamsters, I loved hamsters. I had so many hamsters growing up because they don't live very long. They have such a short lifespan. But my last hamster I had was Eco. He died there about 2 years ago, I think. Yeah. And again, I loved watching him like eat the little sunflower seed. They love sunflower seeds. I don't know why, but hamsters love them. You know, it was amazing. These tiny little paws, tiny little fingernails. They'd hold the sunflower seed in their hand. They'd be able to like open it up with their teeth. They'd get the inside of the sunflower seed out and they'd leave the shell part there. And then they'd move on to the next thing they're eating. Things like that. It was just amazing. Even seeing them curled up. They were so cute. They had tiny little eyes. Their hair was minute. They were just so cute and tiny. I was just obsessed with small things. even I remember I had this small doll. It was a small black doll with gorgeous green eyes and purple, vibrant purple hair. It was tiny. It was like that size, I'd say, the doll. Really small, petite doll. And my mother said she actually remembers me having that doll. And the doll was kind of like fairy themed, kind of, yeah, fairy tale, kind of Halloween themed as well, because she, you know, supernatural, because she had even green and black striped tights, I remember, and I loved dressing her up in tiny little outfits. And I'm trying to think now what else. Yeah, I had other toys as well. I loved, if any of you remember Littlest Pet Shop. Do you remember those? Again, they were small. They had loads of accessories. I loved those kind of things as well. And then if anything happened to them, like any scratch or anything, I'd be like, oh, it's ruined. I'd be freaking out, like, because I was a very sensitive child. God bless my mother. And trying to think now, there was definitely a lot of other things. But oh yes, Sylvanians, I remember I liked them because again they came with so many accessories. And I hyper fix on one toy. You know, I was like upset. Like maybe that was the ADD coming out of me as well, because you can hyper fix on stuff if you're really into something. You know, if you really like something, or if you're really passionate about something, you'll be really into it. And then if you're not interested in it at all, you'll find it very hard to kind of focus on something. But yeah, but then I've heard of other kids, like, you know, I think it's just more common with ADD to be even more like that about something. But you know, there's plenty of other kids that were like that too. They'd have their favorite toy, and you know, they'd nearly go mad if their mother went to wash it in the wash or something. You know, and yeah, that was kind of when it came to those things. And I remember growing up, my grandmother, Nanny Moore, we called her, she was brilliant with children. And I remember she used to tell, she knew I was big into art. And it's funny because she was an artist herself. She was a brilliant artist, but she definitely tried out a lot more styles than I did. She could do every sort of art. Like she was also big into crafts. Like she was great at pottery. She was brilliant at knitting stuff. She was big into gardening. She was kind of very crafty, artsy in a lot of ways, and kind of spiritual. So I was always into that stuff too. And crystals, all that kind of stuff. And anything that was out of the norm, you know. My art really does show that. And also my Nanny Mora, she used to tell stories like about the fairies and the Bower people. Do you know if you ever heard them? Basically, they're again another kind of mythical thing where they come into people's houses and they kind of take things that are like that size. And I remember she used to tell me that if you left a matchbox in the middle of her sitting room, that the next day it would be gone, because the Bower people used to take them and use them as beds to sleep in. And of course I was like, oh my god, like tell me more. The child in me was like thrilled when she was telling me all this at the time. And I remember she told me this story about the fairies visited her house before, and they took a pink and blue box and mad stuff like that. And of course this just all enhanced my imagination more. Like she was just brilliant with children, and telling, you know, stories that a child like me would have loved, you know. And I still love those kind of stories. I love anything paranormal. Like for example, when I used to watch Vampire Diaries, and that was all again supernatural stuff, you know, vampires, witches, werewolves. That'd be obviously for older people though, you know, like you wouldn't be watching that when you're a kid, because it's not for kids. It'd be more for, you know, teenagers, young adult. And yeah, I'm just drawn to that stuff. Even when I go into a shop and I'm drawn to like packaging, if I like the packaging or the graphic design that's been done on the packaging, or even in an ad, the animation, I'm like, oh my god, the color, the detail, the characters, I'm like, wow, you know. And yeah, like I remember I was in Boots, I think last week, Boots the pharmacy, and I saw this packaging, and I was like, it was kind of abstract packaging. It was like black and orange. I thought it was gorgeous, and I was drawn to it straight away. Didn't care about the actual product. It wasn't even for my hair type. It was literally just because I really liked the packaging. I'm just instantly drawn into it. But yeah, I think it's detailed, colourful. Same with flowers, even in a flower shop. I remember growing up, or in a garden centre, I'd want the weirdest, most colourful, unusual flowers, you know. And yeah, and I'm trying to think, is there anything else now? Oh yeah, so I think that's actually part of why my exhibition did so well, was because one of the lads that work in the library, he's actually the librarian, Jerry, he even said to me that we've had, you know, plenty of other exhibitions here, and a lot of people, they'd be using watercolors, or they'd be using, you know, um oil 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 paints. Yeah, oil paints or oil acrylics, whatever they're called. And yeah, like I do like watercolors. They're stunning. They're really calm. I don't use them myself because I'm not really into painting with a brush. Spray painting, that's kind of it. But I don't like painting with a brush. I'm not into it. And I'm not very skilled at it either. Still, again, it's amazing talent for people that are really good at it. But I just find I can get the most detailed with illustrating. I can't personally with painting. I probably could if I practiced for a long time, but I'm just like, no. Sorry, I'm going off topic. I'll come back to that. Happens to me as well. Bear with me. But basically, Jerry said to me that, we've had loads of other exhibitions here and they've been lovely, and the watercolor paintings and oil paintings and all these other different types of art. But a lot of them, he said, are kind of similar in style. A lot of them, he said, would be, landscapes and stuff like that. But he said, with your art, we've never had your type of art here before. Your kind of style of art's very unusual and unique. It's very detailed. And a lot of kids were saying, like he was telling me, and the other people that also work in the library were telling me, a lot of kids were drawn to my art. And I actually saw that even in the visitors book. There was kids after writing in saying, say, I'll make up a name now, Emily, age 8, I really liked your whatever Wednesday Addams drawing. I remember there was a girl that really liked that, or there was another girl that she said something about one of the witches that I did a drawing of that she really liked. And it was like so lovely to see someone that young, because I'm like, wow, I'm helping to enhance their imagination. And that was so lovely as well, seeing that it wasn't just the one age group that you got great feedback from. It was actually all age groups seems to really like my art. Even I remember I had one of the women that bought one of my illustrations. It was a gothic eyeball mermaid, the first ever one I actually did, the first big one I ever did, because before that I only drew tiny little ones in the Creative Mind drawing. And she said to me, I usually wouldn't be into this style of art, but I just loved this so much. And there was another drawing of mine that she loved as well, that she really liked and she wanted to buy, but she said that was just out of her price range. So yeah, I was like, oh my god, because like to think it wasn't really usually her style, but that she really, really liked it, and so much that she actually bought an original was great. And but yeah, Jerry was saying that like people with your art are doing like double takes. They're going, oh, and they're coming in looking around, and they're actually staying looking around. They're not kind of walking in and walking straight out. So he said that's when it's really, really good, because people are really taking a good look and asking questions about the art and stuff. But as he said, like the watercolor paintings and the other art types that they've had a lot more of in the gallery, he said they're lovely, they're very talented as well, but your art, it's just, we haven't had that kind of style of art here before. It's quite unusual, it's quite unique, and I think that's why it really stands out, because a lot of people, like, landscape drawing and landscape painting is so popular, because who doesn't like nature? Drawings and paintings of forests, seas, mountains, animals, horses, like equestrian art. You will make so much money as an equestrian artist. If you're really good at painting or drawing horses, you will make a fortune. Especially drawing realistic horses. I don't do that though. I just draw my weird floating squid unicorns that I love doing. But yeah, but if I was commissioned to draw a real life horse, like I'd do it, I'd give it my best shot, like. But I'd rather draw something more peculiar. That's more what I love doing, my style. And yeah, then what else? Yeah, like, landscapes, as I was saying, all that art, nature is very popular, but it's a lot more common, because you're more likely to get people that will hang that kind of stuff up in their house instead of people that are going to hang up like witches and weird stuff like the stuff I draw in their house. But it's kind of, my type of art is more of a niched audience. I actually know an artist from Ohio. She's brilliant. She draws out a drawing of a lot of like Tim Burton related stuff, and a lot of Tim Burton, characters and that, like the Corpse Bride and all that, or like the Nightmare Before Christmas. And she does other stuff. I've seen her do like SpongeBob, which I was like, oh my god, SpongeBob, when I saw that, because I love SpongeBob. And she's done like Scooby-Doo and all these like, iconic childhood characters, from animated films that you'd love, that people grew up watching and adored. And she's done Lilo and Stitch as well before. I loved one of her Lilo and Stitch drawings. Drawing / painting. and she uses watercolors and has kind of drips, you know, like she puts the paint on it, then puts the drawing up so that it can drip, and it's just an unreal style. I love it, and her art's doing amazingly well, which I'm not surprised. And where was I going with this? I'm trying to remember now. That I sorry, yeah, I know what I'm saying now. It's very niche though, you know. A lot of people that would be into kind of the more paranormal stuff would love her art, and also fan art is huge. It does so well on Instagram. I'm not into doing fan art myself, but I really do admire it. Like, I've seen so many people, for example, draw Freddie Mercury or paint Freddie Mercury, or same with Elvis, or the, you know, the typical icons. Same with, say, David Bowie, or even Marilyn Monroe. All the really, really famous people in history, and of course, very famous animated characters in films, as I was saying, like Scooby Doo and all that. That the girl I know from Ohio does, and yeah, I'm just not into it myself. I only drew Wednesday Adam once, that was it, because I thought, oh, I'd actually enjoy drawing her. But yeah, I don't really, I prefer kind of making up my own characters, personally, because that's what I love about my type of art style. Is you can, that's what I love about a blank piece of paper, is you get to draw whatever you want. It's completely up to you. It's like you're the author of the art, if that makes sense. So what you create is all from your mind. That's why, like, in school, like when I was in sixth year, I it was on the curriculum that we had to draw certain stuff. Like, I remember we had to draw our school shoes, stuff like that. We do realism art, which was good practice, 100%. I think it's a good thing that they have that on the school art curriculum. They have a mixture of stuff for us to draw, because you know it's good practice and you'll find what you prefer. But I knew a long time ago, I knew since I was a kid, I just loved that kind of art, just weird, colourful, creative. That was just my thing. I always liked to do my own style. I never liked being told what to draw. My mother actually said growing up that she remembers, I don't know, she said I was like 4. I do not remember this at all. And you'd be surprised the stuff I'd remember, but I don't remember this. She said that she put me into some art class somewhere, and that this art class she put me into, I came out and was like, she said, oh, how'd the art class go? And she said, 4-year-old Louise came out and was like, they made me draw a giraffe. I didn't want to draw a giraffe. So she said that was it then. I wasn't going to any more art classes after that. Because I wasn't happy that I was made draw something I didn't want to draw. But yeah, but it's different when you're in 6th year or 3rd year, because, you know, as I said, there's a curriculum, and you still do get to branch out and do your own stuff a bit as well, or you have to, you know, your kind of niche or whatever. But yeah, certain stuff you have to have, which I understand. Same if you do an art degree. But yeah, so I knew that's how I discovered that, oh, I'm actually handy enough at realism art. Like, I'm not bad at it, but I'm not super talented at it either. But then again, it's because I'm not into it and I have no interest in getting better at, you know, because I'm like, it's not my style anyway, even though I still think it's amazing. It's so, there's so much talent that goes into it and work, but it is good that they have that on the curriculum, you know, definitely, and that they do other stuff on the curriculum as well. Like even the lino print, I think that's what the stuff was called. That wouldn't have been my favourite now, but I was handy enough at it. I was actually, like, most arty stuff I'd be reasonably good at, you know. I wouldn't suck at, like, painting, I say I suck at it and that I wouldn't be skilled at, but like I'd be grand at, you know. I'm not as bad as I probably think I am. Spray painting, I'd be handy enough for someone that's not super experienced with it. I just do my own stuff though, spray painting. Like, I don't practice majorly with that either, you know. Again, I find what I like doing and that's it. You know, but I really should. I should kind of be more, I think, like my nanny more in that way, where I should try out a few different styles maybe, or probably won't, but I should. There's certain stuff I definitely need to improve on with that massively. For example, like, because you can always improve. There's always room for improvement and stuff that will help to really enhance your art. Like hands, for example. Oh my god, I find hands so hard to draw. So I'd like to get better at drawing hands. I've been saying that for so long, I just need to actually sit down and give the time to practice it. Because hands proportions I can find hard sometimes too. But again, with my art, my stuff usually isn't meant to be, again, realistic or in perfect in even proportion, because it's my style of art. After all, it's meant to be unusual and not perfectly imperfect. And I think, is there anything else? I think that's all about my art style. Is there anything else I was going to say? Oh yeah, I noticed also, even just in the last year, I really have to enjoy what I'm drawing for it to turn out well, you know. Of course, if I get a commission, to draw something. If I really like what I've been asked to do, great. But if I do, you're not always going to get a commission of something you're going to love to draw, but still if you're getting paid for it, hooray, you're going to do it. But I definitely think when you get commissions that you're not a huge fan of having to do, or that you've said yes to doing, it's a good challenge. It is. It's same with, as I said, with, you know, the art curriculum in school and in colleges where, you know, they'll make you do art that you have to do, like realistic art or whatever type of art, you know, whether it's impressionism art or whatever type, modern art, you know, might be your thing. Yeah, it's just good practice, and it makes you realize, God, I actually can do this, and it makes you improve on that area, you know, which can actually in return help your own art, you know, because you never know when I could throw in a bit of art that might be slightly more realistic in this part of my drawing, or in this part I might have a bit more impressionism art, or, you know, it can be such a mixture. But overall, yeah, my art is literally just that cartoony, animated, sort of weird, paranormal, spooky slash whimsical fairy tale. Yeah, it's kind of a few different genres in one merged together. And I think that's all I was gonna say. Oh, actually, the last thing before I go, I am doing a fundraiser for a African textile artist. He's also a painter, actually. He does stunning African kind of themed paintings. He is from Nigeria in Africa. I can't remember the name of the place. See, I'm very bad with names, and the name of the community he's from, I'm after completely forgetting, but it's in Nigeria anyway. And I am helping him fundraise €500 for his community, because he actually had a gallery of his own, a small gallery space of his own in his community, but it burnt down due to an electrical problem. There was an electrical fault, and it was just way too expensive for him to fix, so it ended up anyway burning down, unfortunately. But he was doing so much good for his community through the gallery, and he still is. Like, he teaches art to kids. He goes off, and I think, is it 70 km he has to drive or something like that just to get art supplies. And we all know, like, the African government is so corrupt. I mean, like, they don't, like, the government in Africa does not look after their country enough at all. And you know, the roads are very bad. There's such a lack of food. There's a huge lack of education, lack of clean water, like all these serious basic needs that every single human should have. Jimo and his community, along with so many parts of Africa, are lacking these and suffering as a result. And he also actually brings food to the hospital in his local area, and he does basically whatever he possibly can. He does a lot of tie dyeing as well. So yeah, he's a textile artist, so tie dyeing is kind of his main kind of thing. And he has created stunning tie dyes, like they're gorgeous, really tropical, so many colours, amazing. And he's taught all this to kids in his community and adults, and it's actually helped to keep them out of crime, and it has also helped to get them to go back to school, which is amazing. So art is such a positive and uplifting thing. So yeah, I will try to put the fundraiser in my caption in YouTube or whatever, or something, and or not, have a look on my Instagram page. It's louwalsh.art, and you can have a look for the fundraiser there. It's on a GoFundMe page. I put a post. I put two posts. Did I put two posts or one? I think I put two posts up about it, I think. But yeah, anyway, and you can have a look there. Or if you go on to Jimo's page, it's I think mine_textile, I think is his name, on Instagram, and you can donate there if you can. If you can't donate, please don't stress about it. Even just sharing and saving the post is a huge help. And even if we don't raise the full 500, I would still be unbelievably happy. Even if we just got to 200 or 300 euro, that would just be amazing. And I'll be buying the art supplies and sending them to Jimo. And also, any money I make off art this month, 50% of any of the money I make off art this month, the 50% of that profit will be going to the fundraiser. So yeah, and have a look on my Etsy. So if you are interested in any of my prints or my graffiti splash bottles that I create for this whole month, as I said, half of those profits will be going to the fundraiser for Jimo and his community. So salon, that's all for me today. I'll be back soon.